Season 3.
Season 3! We're back for season 3! And also, I think for the first time since we actually had some sort of restrictions removed, we're in person again.
Yeah.
I think it's been since 2021, probably. So, welcome to season 3 of the JJF1 podcast.
Let's do this.
Jordan, I'm so happy to see you again in person.
It was a very impromptu decision, but we're doing this in person. You know, it's going to be fun, and we're excited for season 3. Get ready for some race reviews, some race predictions, and some great content coming your way. It's a new dawn in the JJF1 podcast.
Yeah, I can't believe that this is our 3rd season. We've been at this for this
It's
long.
all fun. It's all fun.
I am extremely excited. And with this excitement, we're going to channel it all the way into our predictions for this year's F1 season. Jordan, you've watched more of testing than I have.
Yeah.
I've had crazy time recently, but I got to get a little bit of the synopsis of what's going on in testing. What was your overall vibe from testing?
So I got to watch testing mostly day 2 and day 3 because my last exam ended the first day of testing. So I got to watch a lot of day 2, day 3. My overall vibe of testing is that the cars are faster, they're lighter, and I think we're going to have a more competitive season. I think that's going to be it's going to be tighter than last year. But at the same time, I think that's only going to be tight amongst the teams who can get into the top 4, top 5. And then the bottom 4, bottom 5 are going to be very behind.
That's so basically it's going to be two races.
Yeah.
F1.5 as it was called before.
For season 3, we can start off with a hot take. I think that this year we're going to see the kind of disappearing of what's known as the midfield. It's going to be the top end and the bottom end. Yeah. It's going to be the top 4, and then it's going to be the rest. That's my opinion and the biggest takeaway I got from testing. But we'll dive deeper into it with the more detailed predictions.
Yeah. I've also heard, I saw a bunch of graphics that F1 put together recently that some teams shaved off something like 2.3, 2.1 seconds off their 2022 testing time.
Yeah, well, if you look at the cars themselves, they're, everyone's going dark mode this season. They're shaving off lots of time because of weight reduction. And weight reduction because they're taking off a lot of paint. Mercedes is all black, so it's all carbon. And now it's and that makes them faster because there's less weight.
I miss the black livery. I'm very happy that it's back, honestly.
Yeah.
But, so let's dive right into it. Okay, this is the first episode of season 3, and in a few days' time, there are going to be 3 drivers that are going to run in their first F1 race of their careers. Kinda. As a full-time
driver, yeah.
But it'll be Oscar Piastri with McLaren, Nick DeVries with AlphaTauri, and Logan Sargent with Williams. Which one do you think is going to have the best season?
I think the one who's going to have the best season is different than who's going to be the most impressive driver.
Let's base it off given what they're given.
What they're given, Oscar Piastri is going to by far have the best season. But I think the most impressive driver is going to be Nick DeVries. Nick DeVries is built for this moment. He's built for Formula 1. He's won every championship everywhere he's gone. And I think that AlphaTauri is a perfect introduction to Formula 1. Yeah. Low pressure, bottom tier team where I think he could do some damage. I think he will be the most impressive driver. And the ones that we will say at the end of the season is going to be the best rookie.
Yeah. I can't believe that AlphaTauri finished 9th last season in the Constructors' Championship.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I think that Nick DeVries is going to have the kind of season that'll show that Yuki Tsunoda, if he wasn't supposed to be in F1 this year, he probably shouldn't
be next year.
He's definitely not going to be in F1 next year. However, I think the most impressive driver for me is actually going to be Logan Sargent. I believe in the American if you imagine my bald eagle passport that I have somewhere in my room, but my American passport is showing here. But for me, I think that he could pull some points finishes like in situations that would be entirely unprecedented, to the point where it'll remind me a lot of when Alex Albon last year in Australia
Yeah.
got like 44 laps out of 45 on the same tire compound pit for the last lap and then got 2 points out of it. I think that with Logan Sargent's ability to be able to notice when other drivers are making mistakes, force drivers into mistakes, make passes. One pass could be the difference in Williams' scenario for tens of millions of dollars that could end up in their bank account next year. So I think that Logan Sargent is definitely going to contribute to that. I think that everyone thinks that, Alex Albon is going to be head over heels better than Sargent. I disagree. I think that Sargent is going to, I don't think he's going to run with Albon as in they're going to go, equal for equal, because it'll be Sargent's first year in F1. But I definitely think that people are not giving him the respect that he should be getting. Because I've been talking about Logan Sargent on this podcast since probably halfway through last year, and I believe in him.
I see what you're saying with Sargent. Now, my whole argument with De Vries is that I think that he's going to be the reason why Yuki Tsunoda has no seat next year.
I agree with you.
And to me, that is more impressive than Logan Sargent keeping up with Albon, who I think is not outperforming the car, but is performing the car to where it's supposed to be and not to exceeding it, because we're comparing Albon to Latifi, who didn't perform the car at all.
Yeah.
So I think that Sargent and Albon are taking the car to where it's supposed to be, whereas De Vries is the type of character and the type of driver that's going to outperform the car. And to me, that's more impressive. Mm-hmm. But I definitely see what you're saying with Sargent, and I'm excited to see how he's going to perform, especially comparison to Albon, who did really well in that Williams last year.
I'm extremely intrigued to see how Sargent does this year, and that's why I have that kind of faith in him. Now let's go back to the biggest surprise of the year that we have here. So you kind of put this together. So I want to know, what is your version of the biggest surprise, driver or team?
Yeah, right? So it's basically, when I say biggest surprise, I say the mainstream media and the mainstream F1 public does not expect this to happen, but you, Jonah Presser, you think it will still happen.
What do you think I'm going to say?
I don't know. It just depends on what the media is talking about and what everybody believes is what's talking about. So I'll give you my example. My biggest surprise of the season is that I believe that this is Ferrari's championship to lose. That is my biggest surprise of the season, because everybody expects that Red Bull is going to run away with it, especially given testing. Red Bull, for those who I don't know have been keeping track with testing, they had a perfect test.
Yeah.
They hit all their targets. They were the fastest. If you account for different tire compounds, they were by far the fastest. And they had a perfect test. So everybody's believing they're going to run away with it. I think Ferrari's going to give them a run for their money. And I think it's going to be the type of championship that we saw in 2021 between Mercedes and Red Bull, where it's going to be neck and neck. And I don't think a lot of people expect that.
Okay. Great.
But for example, a lot of people are saying biggest surprise could be Nico Hülkenberg in the Haas.
I was going to say Nico Hülkenberg. Actually, I mean, even though I personally don't have a lot of faith in him, I still think that he's going to blow a lot of people, including myself, out of the water in terms of what he's capable of doing, even though he hasn't had a full race seat in 4 years, and he's raced in four times since then, right? Twice in
right.
I'm gonna turn off this. We had a phone go off in my house. Welcome to
the recording studio
at the
residence.
the Jonah residents. So yeah, I think that Nico Hulkenberg is going to do extremely well. People think that Kevin Magnussen is going to completely outperform. I'd like to disagree. I think that Nico Hulkenberg still has that sort of potential to be able to at least run with Magnussen, which for at some point Mick Schumacher was able to do, but then not really. So yeah, I think there's potential in there for Nico Hulkenberg to be a good surprise. Lance Stroll is going to get a podium.
It's I like how you snuck that in there. It's actually funny that we bring up Nico Hulkenberg because in the Drive to Survive series, there was the altercation between Magnussen and Hulkenberg at the German Grand Prix back in the day.
My favorite moment.
And he said, Magnussen said to Hulkenberg, "Suck my balls." And in the Netflix show, you know, they interviewed Magnussen on what he thinks about Hulkenberg coming back to Haas or coming to Haas, and he said, "Well, he can still suck my balls." And it was pretty funny. But yeah, a lot of people are saying that Hulkenberg is going to be a big surprise. In terms of individual driver, I'm going to say that my big surprise, and a lot of people are expecting Gasly to do very well in the Alpine. I'm going to say Ocon's going to beat Gasly in the Alpine. That's going to be like my driver surprise.
I wouldn't be too surprised if they end up like him and Alonso last year, where they're 1 or 2 points.
Yeah, but I think that Ocon's going to run away with it. He has more experience in the car, and you know, like I always say in this show, a different car takes a lot of time to get accustomed to.
Yeah.
You know, Gasly was doing very well. I mean, last year we kind of put an asterisk on it because AlphaTauri didn't have a good car last year, but he did consistently better every single year, especially in 2021, where it was his best year ever, besides his win in 2020. But yeah, I think that Ocon's going to outperform Gasly. That's going to be like my driver surprise. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know, I also think Lance Stroll is going to get a podium, but maybe I'm just optimistic. Because last year I said,
but the thing is,
that Lance was going to win a race. So I'm going.
This year they're closer to winning a race than this time last year. But the question is, Jonah, is that really a surprise? Because given the hype around Aston Martin at testing, is people are saying that even in Bahrain, the first week of the season, we could be seeing a fight between Alonso and Verstappen at the front.
I'm so ready for that. You have no idea.
Is that really a surprise, given what we saw at testing?
Lance Stroll currently has no wrists, from what I understand. So, yes, I would still consider it a surprise.
Yeah, that'd be.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, that he broke both his wrists in a biking accident.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
seriously. If you hear me, Lance, please get better from both of us.
Yes, absolutely. Wishing you get well soon from home.
Interesting to see how Felipe Drogovic does.
Yes.
Former F2 champion.
He again, speculation that he could be points on debut.
I'd like to see that happen.
I hope to see that happen.
I have followed enough sports teams in my life to know that optimism is your worst enemy. So,
literally.
Yeah. Like, especially with the Habs, we had so much hope. You know, we went to the finals and everything. And then the year after, we were the first team ever to finish 32nd out of 32. This year, you know, I've followed Aston Martin for long enough to know that this kind of hope is nice, but I'm not necessarily running on it.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk that Aston Martin's going to do well. Let's move on. We have in our notes.
Yes, we have the biggest disappointment as well. I think it's going to be McLaren.
As a team.
Both of them. The car's just going to be bad.
All year.
Yeah, I have a bad vibe about McLaren this year. And I think it's going to be the Alpine Revenge Tour over McLaren.
For taking their driver.
Exactly. So that's what I think is going to happen. I think that McLaren is just not going to have a great car this year. I don't even think that they're going to manage a podium, which is what they did last year. They got one. And they were the only ones not named
Ferrari, Mercedes, or
Mercedes to get a podium. I don't even think they're going to manage that.
Wow, that's a very interesting take. I mean, they've had their problems with testing. Zach Brown even said himself they didn't even hit the targets they wanted to. The first day they had the wheel, what they're calling the wheel brow.
Yeah.
They had issues with the wheel brow. And, when you have issues like that, minute issues of testing, it's not good because then you're not able to uncover the real issues when you're actually running the car. And you're not able to uncover the real performance gaps when you're running the car because you've less time running the car because you're fixing all these minute issues.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't think McLaren's going to have the best beginning of the season, just like how they were out in Q1 at the Bahrain Grand Prix this time last year.
Yeah, but
the whole season is a very bold prediction.
3 races after that, though, they got on the podium.
Right, and Imola.
I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling
it's
it.
It's a bold prediction. I'll see what happens.
Andreas Seidel leaving gives me bad vibes.
Really? My biggest disappointment of the season, it has to be Yuki Tsunoda. I have to remain on the theme because
no seat.
Yeah, I think that this is going to be his last season in Formula One because when you're in a team like Red Bull, the whole point of you being an AlphaTauri is that way you could come up to the big brother team, the sister team, as they like to say, and and drive that car. But I don't think that they see potential in him, which is why they kept him for another year. But this is the last straw, and when the pressure is on, I don't know if Yuki Tsunoda is the type of guy to shine and beat the pressure. Time will tell, but I think that's going to be the disappointment of the season for him. He's not going to score his seat, and I think it's going to be more than obvious.
You know who may also be a disappointment? Valtteri Bottas.
Yeah, he's in the same situation. But I do think.
Okay, but Valtteri Bottas has a higher percentage of keeping his seat than Yuki Tsunoda at the current moment.
Agreed, but at the same time, they're kind of in a similar position of their contracts are expiring, and there's going to be decisions made on their situation. At the end of this season, the team principal of Alfa Romeo, who's no longer Fred Vasseur, but I'm not remembering his name.
It's the Stella something or other.
Yes,
from McLaren.
Last name Stella. Yeah. But the team principal of Alfa Romeo is going to have to make a decision on Valtteri Bottas because his contract is coming up. It might not have been a 1-year contract, but right now he's basically another 1-year contract.
Yeah.
And
what if he goes into full contract year mode? But I don't know. I'm not feeling that this year. I think also the car is just going to be bad.
Yeah,
really,
when you're
bad.
a team like that, it's very hard to show to people that you're worth of something. I think George Russell was an anomaly in that sense.
Yeah, I think it's going to be kind of like I think they're going to be something like 9th in the Constructors' Championship.
I mean, they had an all right test. There was no issues with their test. So you never know with them.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not feeling Alfa Romeo this year. Alfa Romeo has never given me the best impression. Even in general.
Again,
you don't know what to do.
They are kind of supposed to be an academy team, but they're trying not to be.
It's not working.
They're very weird positioning. Jonah and I both went to business school, and we learned in business school that if you have to position yourself strategically within the market, right? They're having a tough time as a team positioning themselves strategically on the grid. Are they a team that wants to be fighting for championships in a couple of years? Or are they a team that wants to be the academy team for Ferrari? Because that's what they typically do. The Ferrari academy drivers. But yes, but no, because Haas also wants to get into the midfield at the same time.
Yeah.
Whereas, does Alfa Romeo have the intentions to get into the midfield? Or do they want to be purely that academy team? Signing Valtteri Bottas did not help their case. Signing Zhou Guanyu, an Alpine Academy driver, did not help their case. So to me, it's very confusing the direction that Alfa Romeo is going in. Haas has a clearer direction.
Yeah.
Williams has a clearer direction. AlphaTauri has a clear direction.
Yeah.
Alfa Romeo does not.
Interesting to see what's going to happen next year.
Exactly. And it's not helping Formula One that now there's a whole mix and match situation with contracts.
Yeah.
We have Red Bull drivers going to Mercedes teams, and we have Mercedes drivers managed by Toto Wolff and Nick De Vries and Esteban Ocon joining Alpine and AlphaTauri. So we have a whole musical chairs with the driver academy now.
I'm living for it.
And then Oscar Piastri, an Alpine Academy driver, they spent more than $4 million developing him, is now a McLaren. So we're having this
I'm
musical
living
chair
for the
situation.
drama.
Agreed, completely agree.
The drama's
But
amazing.
it's just tough to then identify what direction
Yeah.
the teams are going in.
I'm thinking the Oscar Piastri scenario, now that you come back to it, is gonna be the same thing as Cyril to Daniel. Where it's
Oh,
gonna be,
100%.
I thoroughly believe he's gonna regret his decision.
Exactly.
I think that's gonna be Oscar Piastri this year.
I completely agree.
I mean, it was probably the best case scenario for Alpine, for all you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
now it's time for most improved team. I think we all know what I'm gonna say.
I think we're in agreement with this one. Yeah, we're in agreement here. I think that it's definitely going to be Aston Martin.
Yeah, they were tied for 6th last year.
They were tied for 6th last year, but I think the important thing that we have to focus on, Jonah, here is that the team principal Mike Crack said that, and the chief Dan Hollows, who's the technical director, technical director at Aston Martin, who was at Red Bull and was very involved in the aerodynamics of Red Bull in the latter season when they were improving. He said this car is 95% new. So this is not a 6th place car anymore.
Could be good.
And judging by the times, Alonso being 2nd on the timesheets day 1, and being in the top 5 in all 3 days of testing,
that gave me so much hope.
it's. I think they're going to be the most improved team.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be, they might even battle for wins. I'm not even kidding.
If Aston Martin wins a race this year, it's going to be probably the best podcast episode I've ever seen. I don't know, because yes, I agree with you. Aston Martin is going to be the most improved team. However, Alonso. We have seen this time and time again, where each time that he comes into a team, he completely destroys it from the inside out and leaves. And that scares me so much. But from what I see, it looks like it's been relatively positive since he's come in. He even said that Lance Stroll is world champion material.
Yeah.
And I don't even think that Lance Stroll is world championship material. So if he says that Lance Stroll is going to win a world championship, I'm going to be the happiest person and ride with that.
I think maybe he's saying that because he knows something more than we do.
Oh, yeah.
I think that he's saying that because he really believes in Lawrence Stroll's investment in the team.
Yeah.
He believes in Aston Martin as a team, and that's why he signed on for the project. I think that it's clear. And yes, if Aston Martin wins a race this year, specifically if Lance Stroll wins the race this year, wow.
I'm literally going to talk for an hour and a half straight.
Oh my God. Oh my God. We're gonna go to Kartomania, Jonah and I, down the street from his house.
Yes.
We're gonna go-kart where Lance Stroll go-karted as a child in his honor as a celebration.
I think we should do that anyways.
Yeah, we should. You're right.
Yeah. I haven't gone to Kartomania in like 10 years at least.
It's been a year for me. I was there last year.
You were there last year?
Yeah, I was there last year.
Okay, well, I was not.
Lance Stroll was there during the Grand Prix weekend.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he comes every Grand Prix weekend.
Lance Stroll was also at the Bell Center recently at a Habs game.
Oh, yeah, like a couple weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah, I was so sad because I was actually thinking of going to that game. And then I didn't end up going. And all I see on my social media is people sending me stuff being like, Lance was there, man. Were you there? I'm like, no, but I'm very sad.
Anyways.
It's okay. He was in a box. I couldn't have been able to see him anyways. So
let's move on. We're going to talk about now
drivers and constructors.
The winners of this year.
Yeah.
And I think we might have some differing opinions on one of them. Let's start with the Drivers' Championship. Who do you think is going to win the Drivers' Championship, Jonah? Say it. Let's go right away. Let's go.
George Russell is going to win the Drivers' Championship.
Whoa, okay. That's a hot take. That's a very hot take.
George Russell is going to be the 2023 F1
wow.
champion.
See, like that's such a hot take to the point where I thought we were going to be in agreement on this.
No.
And I'm convinced that, and I'm like surprised that we're not.
Oh, okay. Look, Mercedes are sandbagging. That's all that I could say. But let me explain, okay? Last year, they had so much forward momentum over the course of the year that with the regulations staying, I'm not saying 2020 to 2021 levels of constant, but constant enough where it's not 21 to 22. Mercedes could build off the success that they had in later parts of the year and be able to develop their car to go back to championship winning glory. I think that it's going to be George Russell winning the championship for that, because even last year we saw that Russell outperformed Lewis Hamilton most of the time last season. Even when the car started getting better, sure, Lewis Hamilton ended up getting on par to Russell, but not better than Russell. So that's why I think that it's going to end up being George Russell's championship season.
Now, let me ask you a question.
Ask me.
Do you believe it's George Russell's championship to win or his championship to lose?
It's gonna be his to win, because it's gonna be Red Bull's championship to lose, because they're defending champions and there's this huge amount of expectations that are placed on them.
Right.
But I'm saying don't discount Mercedes. Kind of like the New England Patriots in football all the time, where when they had Brady, it was always, oh, this year they're not going to make it. Like, Brady's old. Everyone's so bad. Here it's like, oh, Hamilton is 40,000 years old. Like, they didn't even win a race last year until Brazil. They're not going to do well. Let's just throw them out and talk about Ferrari and Red Bull. No. I think that this was just a down year for Mercedes rather than a sign of what's to come. So I think that it's going to be George Russell winning the F1 title.
I'm going to say the F1 world champion, Jonah, I'm sorry to tell you, and I don't even like saying this, it's going to be Max Verstappen.
Okay.
It has to be. Red Bull is so strong. They're in incredible form.
He's too good.
He is. It's going to be him. There is no way that it's not. But what I will say, though, that I don't think he'll win it in Suzuka like he did last year, or have the chance to win it in Singapore.
Do we think it's going to be an Abu Dhabi showdown?
I don't think it's going to be necessarily Abu Dhabi, but it might be a Brazil showdown. I think it's going to come to the last 2 races, last 3 races.
Imagine if it's a recreation of 2012, where in Brazil Seb won the championship, and then there's this picture of Alonso like trying his best not to cry inside his Ferrari helmet. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Imagine if it's that, but it's Verstappen and still Alonso.
If Aston Martin is that good of a season, then I'll be incredibly happy.
That's fair.
But I don't think it's going to be I don't think it's going to be a runaway. I think it's going to be a title fight. I don't think it's going to be with Alonso necessarily.
No.
It's going to be a title fight between Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen. They're both in incredible form. Yeah. They're both strong drivers. Max just has the better car. And I believe it's going to be a fight between the two.
Yeah.
And I think Max is going to win in either Mexico, Sao Paulo, or Abu Dhabi.
I respect that decision. I mean, you think he's going to win? Well, winning 3 straight wouldn't be.
No, I think he's going to either win. He's going to clinch the championship in either of those races.
Winning 3 straight titles is not something new.
No, Vettel has done it. Lewis Hamilton has done it.
Schumacher.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if he wins 3 straight, he'll be part of the greats immediately.
I think
if he wasn't.
I think he's already part of the greats. But yeah, so I'm going to say it's going to be a Max Verstappen championship win. And by default, I'm also going to say that it's going to be a Red Bull Racing Constructors Championship victory.
I agree with you on the Constructors front. I think it's going to be Red Bull as well.
Interesting.
I think that they have the most balanced lineup out of the top 3 teams, in my opinion, just because no one has this sort of talent that Sergio Perez does in terms of being able to master most types of conditions.
He has to win the Mexican GP this year.
If he doesn't,
he needs to. It's time. It's about time.
But I think that Sergio Perez is going to do better than he did last year. I just think that it's going to be the kind of season where we're going to have 3 teams that are fighting for wins at least. every single race. And I think that George Russell is just going to be the one that's going to edge everyone out. But I still think that Red Bull overall is going to have the better team season.
It's a very interesting take because, based on the premise that Sergio Perez does better, that takes away points from Max. In a sense,
it's going to take away points from Ferrari.
Take away points from either.
Yeah. Well, it will take away points from all of the competition. Right? So that's what I'm thinking in my head. Is
interesting take.
It's gonna be a 3-way battle, hopefully a 4-way battle.
Yeah, I hope it's gonna be the most competitive season yet. That's what it's shaping out to be.
Yeah. I mean, look, in 2012 we had 7 drivers winning 7 races in 7 races. So
I wish we would have a season like that.
If we have a season like that, it'll probably be the craziest thing that I am conscious enough to remember. Because look, I was 11, 12 years old in that season.
Right.
So, I mean, sure, I remember some things, but I don't remember a lot, So.
Right. Let's get back to the Mercedes for a second. I want to address what you said about Mercedes.
Talk to me
about how
Mercedes.
they're, so happen to be sandbagging.
Yeah.
I don't think they are. I don't think they're sandbagging.
Never underestimate the black livery.
What I do want to talk about is that I think the development race is going to kick in quicker this year. And that's what their potential in doing well, because Mercedes is always good at developing their car mid-season.
Yeah.
And so is Red Bull. Let's not take away that from Red Bull. But I think that's where they're going to get their boost and their ability to win.
Yeah, I think in the development race, it's definitely going to be Mercedes that's going to make the most improvements. And that's where I think, like you said, if it kicks in a lot earlier than we think it's going to.
It already has. Everyone's bringing upgrades to Bahrain.
Exactly. So if it's already kicked in, then I think that it's Mercedes that's going to end up making more gains than we think they are. Also, it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to navigate the budget cap, because it won't be like when they were in championship winning form, when they could just
spend all the money they wanted,
like they have Pizza Planet money and just go for it and see if we can make the fastest car possible, even though we're already 200 points away from the rest of the competition, So, I think that at the same time, there's this sort of fire in Toto Wolff, especially after last season, where he's going to find a way to motivate the team to be able to push further than they think they can. So I think with the mix of everything, like you said, with the development, with the driver lineup that they have, I mean, more specifically Russell in my case, I think that it's going to be that kind of season for Mercedes. I don't think it's going to be, like I said earlier, I don't think it's going to be a situation where they, after last year, they kind of just don't win titles for a while until the next year. I think it's going to be just a down year for Mercedes. And now they pick it up again and they kind of squeeze this one out.
Look, it's going to be an interesting season.
Yeah.
Let's talk about next week's Bahrain Grand Prix.
Well, next week it's Wednesday.
Well, this Friday is practice. Yes. Saturday qualifying. It's coming up.
Sunday race.
For that Sunday race, Jonah, what are your predictions in terms of race winner and maybe a little bold prediction we could get?
It's going to be a repeat of 2022. Both Red Bull's engines are going to catch on fire.
You think so?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And Charles Leclerc is going to win.
Interesting. I think it could also be a repeat. My prediction is that it's going to be a Ferrari win.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be either a Carlos Sainz or a Charles Leclerc win. Don't count out Carlos Sainz.
See, there's something also to why I think Charles Leclerc is going to win. I saw this. I don't know where I saw it from, but it was whoever won the first race of the season finished second in the championship for 10 years in a row.
Wow.
Yeah. It was something
that's
crazy.
That's a crazy conspiracy.
No, I mean, okay, obviously it's some crazy coincidence,
right?
Probably, but
coincidence, that's what I was looking for.
But let's 2022, Charles Leclerc won. He finished second in the championship.
2021, Hamilton.
Hamilton won.
Finished
He
second in
finished second in the championship.
2020,
2020, Valtteri won. He finished second in the championship. 2019 was Australia. Valtteri won. He finished second in the championship.
True. Oh. So you don't want to win in Bahrain. I'm just
No, I
before,
don't.
if Charles Leclerc is listening, don't win in Bahrain.
Don't win in Bahrain. So yeah, that's it. First episode of season 3. Happy to be here.
Happy to be here too. We'll do more episodes in person this season.
Yes. So if you guys want to follow us for the entire 2023 season and beyond, feel free to like our Facebook page and follow us on Instagram at the JJF1 podcast. And we will see you for the next episode.
See ya.